Man, the weather here was 70. So it was 70 here in Virginia. You're in Florida. I can only imagine what the weather is down there.
Yeah, it's hot during the day. It gets a little cold at night, and then gets a little hot during the day. Not too
Really?
humid. This is like the perfect time of year to be in Florida.
I
You
know
get,
it's awesome.
uh, but our household is just getting ready for this baby. So apparently, when you're going to do a home birth, this is a big deal. When you're doing a home birth, they got to like make sure the mom is healthy. Otherwise, there's liability on the nurse and the midwife. And so like they make you do all this extra testing, blood work. There today she went and had her placenta measured. I'm
Oh
like,
my
I'm like,
Lord.
what? Why do they gotta do that? And she's like,
That
yeah,
is too much.
so we got to go in for an ultrasound Tuesday next week. Yeah, so we're like 3 or 4 weeks away, and the
Is
baby's
it a
here.
boy or girl?
This was a girl.
So you got two boys and a girl.
Yes, sir. Yep.
I pray everything goes well, man. That should be so fun at home. I'm like, just go. What did they do it in the bed? I don't even. I can't even. I can't even imagine.
This is going back what 50, 60 years or whatever. But my mom was born at home, and
Really?
they handled it. It was by accident. It wasn't intentional. It's just my grandma gave birth really fast. So we're gonna try this. We're doing this at home.
When you think about it, we've been doing this for thousands, if not millions of years. I'm like, hospitals ain't been around.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And some of the stats that my wife was reading me on, like hospitals nowadays, people go there like relatively healthy, and then they walk out with some
Don't
weird
come
thing.
out. Yeah, they don't,
So
or they don't walk out.
or they don't walk out. Exactly. So having a baby, that's supposed to be like, this is bringing a blessing into the world. This isn't like we're sick, we have to go get help. This is, new life. So we're going to embrace that. We're praying about it a lot. And as long as she clears all these tests, then we're doing it at home.
It's so cool. Well, Nate, good luck to you. We'll be praying for you, brother. I'm sure I'll talk to you again by then, though. I'm sure things will be fine.
Yeah.
All right, round up, homies. What's going down? I'm Chris Haskins. I'm going to be your pilot for tonight, co-pilot, as I hang out with my friend and super entrepreneur Nate Armstrong. He's going to be training us tonight how he does this thing. He gets paid to buy rental property, and he's been doing this for quite a while. The dude's been doing real estate forever, and I learned from him. And the guy's just an overall player in the industry. He told me some of the masterminds he's in, and it's just amazing just to have him here to share and impart some wisdom and knowledge on my round up family. Nate Armstrong, how you doing, my brother?
Awesome. Awesome. I'm pumped to be here, Chris. Number one, thanks for, as always, letting me come back and share. But number two, the market shifting, man. I don't know what you're seeing, but like I'm going through my old database of leads, people that like we made offers to 6+ months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them have sold, but a lot of them are coming back saying, yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it. And I'm like, what did we offer you before? And we're looking at the numbers like, holy cow, we're getting deals. And so the market is definitely shifting right now. It's getting more fun.
Yeah, something. Well, I don't think we're shifting as much on everything. With some product, yes, some especially motivated sellers. But if you have a house where we're at and it's fixed up, A+ shape, we're still getting asking, and we just saw one above asking. Nate, still, man, it's still crazy.
You must be in an inventory type market.
That's what I was going to say. How's your inventory? We have no inventory here. How's your inventory down there?
Yeah, so we're playing in 3 cities. Midwest, it's kind of even keel. Florida, the inventory is starting to stack depending on the city we're talking about. If you're talking about like Miami, Jacksonville, no. If you're talking about West Coast cities like Cape Coral, Fort Myers, Sarasota, inventory is starting to stack up.
Well, that's to be expected. I mean, come on, these people. I don't know why people get shocked. No, I'm not saying you, but I'm like, we knew this was coming. I mean, what?
Yeah.
This is how it works. This is how it works. You got to plan accordingly.
Yep. Whenever they reduce the interest rates like this, it's a byproduct. I mean, it's all economics, supply and demand. When you make the cost of money go up really, really fast, then less people are going to borrow the money.
Yeah.
And so therefore there's going to be less people buying properties. And so that's just cause and effect.
That's how it is. I'm sitting here now. I got a line of credit letter today that just raised my interest rate 7.75%. So stuff's going up.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. It was 3.25. You know what? Everybody knows 3.25 for the last 2 years, and it's just been cranking up every other, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So what we got, Nate? Tell us tonight what are we going to be going over, and what type of word, how are you running your business, and what you got going on, brother?
Yeah. So main thing we're going to cover tonight. So we're buying properties and we're getting paid up front to buy them, and then we keep them as cash flowing rentals. And that concept might sound a little bit like weird or too good to be true, but I'm going to simplify it. I'm going to make it super, super easy. I got a chance to sit down with a really big developer in downtown Minneapolis, and he showed me basically how he bought an entire block of downtown Minneapolis. And I'm like, holy cow, is this for real? And not only did he get paid to buy it, but he didn't have to squeeze his own savings account to make it happen. And when he showed that to me, it like changed everything for me. And so I want to dissect some of that. I want to break it down, how we're finding the deals, how we're funding them, how we're getting paid up front to buy these properties.
Sweet. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm interested in seeing this.
Cool. You cool if I jump right in? You want me to wait?
Yeah, let's do it. Hit it. I got your screen. I got your
okay.
Your slides up here now. Let's do it, brother.
Cool. And those of you that are hanging with us tonight, I would love if you guys could use the chat. I like to read your questions. Chris does too. I know that. And like, it just helps me to make sure that we're hitting the point. We're hitting all the questions that you have on your mind. So if you got one as we're going through this stuff, don't be shy. Just go ahead, throw it out there. And we will make sure that you get your questions answered too. Okay. Yeah, and I'd love to know too, how many are here to like find off market deals? If that's something that you want, then you can just type something like off market. Or if maybe you're here because you're trying to learn how to transition into real estate full time, let me know that in the chat too. I'd love to know that. I'll know how deep to get down into some of this stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to skip a lot of my bio because it's just not that important. But in case you're wondering, in case you want to know, like, hey, do you have experience? Can you teach this stuff? You can Google search Home Invest. We had the blessed privilege of making the Inc. 500, did some pretty cool stuff. Won a couple of awards, but the reality is that I'm really not that smart. In fact, my ACT score, it was literally the average of my birth state in Minnesota, totally average. And lucky for me, I had some smart people around me. It was two things that kind of led to getting traction in real estate. Number one, God. Number two, I had smart people around me. And because of smart people around me, I've been able to make millions of dollars in this real estate investing game. Prior to winning awards and stuff like that, I was doing a lot of the same stuff that you were probably doing right now. And Chris, probably stuff you did 15 years ago. And I was chasing deals, chasing opportunities, kind of running around, figuring out my path. And I co-signed some loans for a really big developer trying to expand and trying to grow faster. And that developer ended up walking away from the project that I co-signed. And so in a really quick manner, all of the work that I'd put in got quickly wiped out because the project started going south and I had to keep feeding them every bit of money that I had. And so I had to work like double time to figure out what is the path? How do I do this stuff? So I had tried things like wholesaling. I had tried fix and flips. I still like doing fix and flips sometimes. But what I realized with all of these is that all of them required either some kind of cash up front or I'd have to go borrow like hard money or expensive stuff. So none of them really work for me. And then I discovered what I'm going to show you guys tonight, which is this process where we can actually get paid up front to buy a rental property. Okay. And the property you're seeing on your screen right here, I'm going to go through this and break the whole thing down for you. But basically what I want to do is spend the next 30, 40 minutes or so just showing you how you can go find these properties. And if I am able to show you and convince you that this is the best thing in the world, then I want to give you an invitation to learn more about it. Okay. Chris and Roundup family, I don't have some pitch for a $2,000 course or anything like that. I've got a $47 thing. It's called a 3-day event that I use to raise money for a nonprofit. So if it's cool with you guys and if it's cool with you, Chris, then what I'll do is I'll just deliver the next half hour, like put it all out there on the line. And at the end of the half hour, if people are like, hey, I love this. I want to learn more. Is it cool if I drop a link for that 3-day event where we raise some money for a nonprofit?
Yeah, man, that'd be cool. Is that okay with everybody? I appreciate that.
Cool. Cool. And you guys, you let me know. I got to do my job first though. Okay. So the property you see on your screen right here, this is a property in central Wisconsin. The cool thing about real estate is that you can actually like Google this stuff and look up tax records, and you can see I bought this one for $200,000. I got it off market, scored a sweet deal on it. Okay. The day that I bought it, I got paid $20,000 from another investor who wanted to join the deal and become my partner on it. Now, and so that's no money out of pocket for me, nothing. He put up all the money that was needed for this thing, and he paid me $20,000 to become my partner. Now we collect about $3,100 per month in rent. And then after I pay for taxes and insurance and stuff like that, then we split that rent every single month. And that's the relationship that we have. And so that's kind of high level. I'm going to break this whole thing down. But before I get into that, I want to explain and give credit to who and how I learned this. And it's from this guy. This is a downtown Minneapolis developer. His name is Bob Lux. He buys some of the biggest stuff in Minnesota and just develops this really cool stuff. He's pretty famous in the state of Minnesota. That's where I originally started. And he had just purchased, when I met him, he had just purchased Block E as an Edward. Like, this is like where the Minnesota Timberwolves play basketball, right next to this place.
Wow.
Prime real estate. And so I'm there, like, he's looking for people like us to come work for him. And I somehow got referred into that mix. And I'm talking with him and we're getting to know one another. And he had just purchased this stuff. And I'm like, Blocky. And I'm like, Bob, how did you do it? How on earth did you buy an entire downtown block? Like, I know that the last developer that you bought it from paid $130 million for it. Like, how on earth did you come up with that much money? And like, where did the down payment come from? And what's the interest rate? And I'm going like spitting these questions as fast as I can. He's like, Nate, whoa. He's like, that's not how this works at all. I didn't have to come up with any money as a down payment. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? How is that possible? He said, no, Nate. In fact, I got paid a couple $1,000,000 the day that I bought this property. When he said that, my jaw about hit the table because I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And I told him, I'm like, Bob, but like, I'm doing these little tiny properties now. And like, I have to go borrow and beg and squeeze my savings and do everything to make this. How on earth did you do this? And then he explains this to me. Okay. It's the SLP process. It's finding a property. That's the S, select. Finding bank financing. That's the L, leverage. And then finding an investor partner. That's the P. Okay. I'm going to break this whole thing down. I'm going to make sure that it all makes sense before any of us leave here tonight, but we'll be going through it step by step. So I'll like actually sketch it for us. I'll come back to this in a little bit though. Okay.
Cool.
So I learned this from Bob and I'm like, okay, cool. I ended up not like doing anything professionally with him. It just didn't make sense numerically. I left the meeting and I'm like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this on my own. And so I go out and I look for commercial properties because that's what Bob's doing. And this is the very first commercial property that I ever put under contract, 1416 6th Avenue South, St. Cloud, Minnesota. I got this one for $492,000. Now, I didn't have $492,000. And I certainly didn't have credit to buy that kind of stuff. And so what I did is I did what Bob told me to do. Find the deal, find a really good deal, put it under contract, and then go out and find L leverage, which is a bank, and then find a P partner. And so I did that. I started calling a bunch of banks. The bank said, well, we won't lend you the money, but if you've got a good enough partner, we would lend you and the partner money. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll go find a good enough partner. And then I started calling potential investors. And I found one that said, yeah, I'll partner with you on this. We closed on the deal. The day that we closed on it, I got paid $10,000 up front. And then what my job is to find a property management company, get the place cleaned up, get it rented out. Did that for a bit, had the property manager going. Property manager was collecting rents, got the bad tenants out, got good tenants in. And then we held on to this thing as a cash flowing property for 2 years. And at the end of 2 years, we bought this thing for $492 and then we sold it for $1.7 million.
Sweet.
Who here would like that kind of deal? With this kind of deal? Yeah. Chris, sign me up for that. Cool. And so this is the interesting thing. A lot of people like, we see numbers. This happened to me. You see numbers on like fix and flips, and it's like, oh, cool, that's so exciting. And it is. They're good, solid numbers. But when you're able to hold a property for a little bit longer and really maximize the appreciation factor, then there's a lot more gains that are in it. And so that's what happened to me on this one. I learned it from Bob, went out there, did it, bought it for 492, sold it for 1.7 a couple years later. And so you might be wondering like, well, how do you fund these things? How do you lease them? How do you find the deals? I'm going to cover all of that, but just rest assured that this is the path. Like this is the only way that I do real estate investing now, because it just makes so much sense. Like from a tax perspective, from a legal perspective, there's a lot of reasons for it that I'll cover yet. On your screen now, these are the Hill brothers, Ryan and Austin Hill. They came into my world and they were both basically working full-time jobs, trying to make real estate their full-time thing, but they needed income because they kept telling me that they had to fuel down payments to keep buying rental property. So basically they would work for like 3 to 6 months, save up a bunch of money, and then use that as a down payment to buy one. And I showed them the model that I just showed you guys. I'm like, well, why don't you just bring in an investor partner and let them, put up the money, and then you guys get paid up front. And then they're like, really, you can do that? I showed them how, and then fast forward, now they're both full-time real estate investors because they figured out that one little secret that the commercial real estate investors know, but they don't teach it to us common folk for whatever reason. Okay. Now I want to talk for a minute about financing. Chris, are you still taking out bank financing and whatnot? What are you finding out there?
Nah, not on fix and flips. Once in a while, I'll do some lines of credit, but the majority of my stuff is with private people, just private individuals that finance our stuff, Nate.
Private loans. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good move. And for those of you that are like, well, hey, I might not have the credit or I might not have the assets, private financing is definitely the way to go. And then I'd also encourage people to look for finance partners, kind of like the one you see on your screen right here. I didn't have the credit to like go out there and borrow a bunch of money from banks, nor did I have the assets. And so I had to be creative. So I started looking for lenders that were not traditional lenders that would loan more on like, the asset. And someone told me about this one. This is based out of California. They were having problems with one of their borrowers very, very close to some of my properties. I knew the properties. I knew that they were in trouble because the person had borrowed from them and basically did nothing on the projects. And so I reached out to them and I said, hey, if you guys would be like willing to lend me money too, I can probably help you fix those ones. I got contractors, I can get them cleaned up. And next thing I know, one of the founders flew out to Minnesota, where I'm originally from. And I'm sitting in a downtown hotel room on the top floor of this building in one of those like, almost like penthouses because he rented the nice room. And I looked up the guy before he got there. His name's Thomas O'Brien. He used to be an advisor for the Reagan administration, really big deal. And here I am, this kid from Duluth, Minnesota. My dad was a mechanic. My mom did home daycare. I'm like, holy cow, where am I? My palms were sweating. I'm nervous. And he's looking at me and he's like, hey, Nate, it's cool, man. Hey, nice to meet you. And I'm like, yeah, nice to meet you. And he's like, hey, so I heard you're the guy that's going to fix our problem properties up here. And I said, well, I heard you're the guy that's going to lend me a bunch of money. And he's like, yeah, if you can fix these properties, we'll lend you as much as you need. And then I said, well, Tom, just so you know, like, I don't have credit. Like, I don't have a bunch of assets. Like, are you sure you can lend to me? And he said, Nate, no problem, man. Like, no problem. Like, we don't really care about that. What we care is that it's a good, solid property. You bring good, solid deals and we can help fund these. And then that's when I got, for the first time in my life ever, I got this blanket line of credit, like basically unlimited purchasing power. I could buy whatever I wanted to buy as long as it was a good deal. And now I walked out of that hotel room meeting that day, like jumping up and down, getting into my car, like fist pumping in the air. And I was so excited. I didn't realize though, that there's probably like 200 private lending institutions just like this that do the same thing. I didn't know that though. And so I'm like, okay, cool. So now I had the strategy and now I had the money. Okay. The next thing that everybody needs in this journey, and Chris, this is something that you do so well. Like, you've got awesome team members out there, contractors, title companies, all that kind of stuff. I was managing everything myself when I first started. And then I had this, I got into the business, got going, had this line of credit, was going pretty fast. And then I had somebody approach me that said he was part of a hedge fund. He got referred to me from somebody else. And he's like, hey, I'm a hedge fund manager. I have a lot of money to buy properties. Can you help us out? And I'm like, yeah, we probably can. What are you looking for? And then he told me that he would split profits with me. And I'm like, sign me up, let's go. And next thing I know, he wires me enough money to buy 5 properties and then says, hey, I'll be out in a few weeks to come take a look. And I'm like, okay, great. And so he flies into town. When he gets to town, he's like, hey, Nate, so nice to meet you. Hey, I know we only have a couple days, but it's really important to me that we meet all of your team members. I'd like to have breakfast tomorrow morning with the leasing agents. I'd like to have lunch with the carpenters. I'd like to have dinner with whoever's doing the property management long-term. Like, do you think you can set all that stuff up for me? And I'm like, yeah, probably we can. Let me start making some phone calls, but hey, help me understand, like, why? Like, I've had other investor partners come before, but like, they just want to like come in and see the properties and get out. Like, why do you want to like meet everybody? And he said, Nate, this business is all about people.
People.
Yeah. And Chris, like, you know it, you get a good contractor, your life is awesome. You get a bad contractor and guess what? Like, you're trying to pull out your hair. Mm-hmm. And so this hedge fund manager teaches me this principle. Now, mind you, this guy, like, I walk properties with him. He does not know how to hang a kitchen cabinet. He does not know how to do painting. Like, I know how to do that stuff because like I learned it. But this guy was worth way, way more money than I was and am. Like, this guy was on cloud 9, buying 5 properties for me, buying 35 other properties from other people across the country. Like, and so his message sunk into me. It took some months to really absorb. But what I learned from him is that you don't have to be the one trying to coordinate everything on your own. You get really good people working for you. And it's not like an employee relationship, it's a contract relationship, but you get really good people out there. And then this business can be done literally from anywhere in the country. Chris, are you buying everything local or are you buying anything out of state?
I'm local, but I got to tell you, I want my Roundup fam to know that, Nate, you really have helped me open my mind up to not only hiring people, but working with people. And, you know, just the whole interfacing with people, man. You can't just expect people to do everything overnight and get it done tomorrow. You know, just the actual relationship with people that you work with, man. I got to tell you, I've learned a lot of that just by watching how you move. I don't go to properties a lot. I mean, they could be anywhere. My team goes, you know, so.
Yeah. And there's a certain level when it's actually, it's from a productivity standpoint, it's better that your team goes. And then yeah. I realized, like, I'm not that smart.
You know, Ron LeGrand taught me that, Nate. He's like, Chris, do you know people can be smarter than better? I'm like, I had no idea that was a fact. I had no idea that people could be better than me.
That's how we feel for a while. But yeah, like I bought this house in St. Louis, Missouri once, remotely, and I hired an inspector to go walk it. Inspector produced an inspection report, and then I bought the property. 6 months later, property management company reports to me that we have a foundation problem, and a pretty serious one. And I'm like, what? And I go back and look at the inspection report, and like, there's nothing noted about a foundation problem. So I call the inspector and I'm like, hey, you know, you inspected this one for us and like, you didn't notice the inspection, or you didn't note in the inspection that there was a foundation problem. I don't know what to do here. And he said, Nate, oh, cool. No problem at all. All you have to do is make a report to my errors and emissions insurance. And I'm like, what is that? He's like, yeah, you just call them. Here's the phone number. You call them, tell them what happened, and they'll reach out to me. I'll verify it. Something I missed. I made a mistake, but that's why I have this insurance.
Wow.
I go, okay. So I call them and then they're like, well, what's the problem? And I told them the problem. They're like, okay, we need to send somebody out. They send somebody out. They get back to me a couple of weeks later and they're like, hey, we're going to go ahead and take care of this. And I'm like, what does that mean? They're like, well, how much is the repair? And it was something like $8,200. They sent me a check for $8,200.
Get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that was the day that I realized, like, even if I can go inspect a property, I don't have errors and emissions insurance if I miss something. Like,
look at that.
I paid $500 for that inspection. Like, it was worth every penny of that when that problem came. So
that's sharp right there.
Yeah, I recommend all of us, like, we get out of us trying to do everything. Let the professionals do their thing, and then it's safer for us in this business.
Let me reintroduce you, Nate, for people that are just joining us. We got 50 people. Give Nate a thumbs up for that one. I didn't even think about filing a claim against the home inspector. You know, we try to, as investors, we try to put a lot of work. Well, investors that are doing scaling stuff, we try to put a lot of the labor on other people. And I guess the guy, when they're licensed, Nate, the way you're explaining it, he's covered. The insurance is covering like a almost like a title insurance or
Yeah,
I guess title insurance has errors and omissions too.
yeah. Inspectors, almost every state that, at least that I've checked, had the inspector to remain licensed, and contractors, they have to have some type of insurance, and inspectors usually have to have errors and emissions insurance as well.
Man, that's a good one. Nate
Yeah.
Armstrong here is talking about how he gets paid to buy the rental property and hold on to it. So, people that are just joining us, that's what you're here to learn right now. Okay, Nate, let's do it.
Cool. So this lovely lady you see on your screen, this is Andrea with her husband and her son. And Andrea, really interesting. Like, she reaches out to me from referral. I talked to her for about half hour, 45 minutes. And she's like, hey, I want to buy some properties. And I'm like, okay, cool. What are you looking for? She describes it. I say, okay, cool. Well, I can probably help you with that. She's calling me from Colorado. I'm working in Minnesota at the time. And so I found her this one, 1025 Margaret Street, St. Paul, Minnesota. And I text message her and tell her, like, hey, here's the details. Here's how much it is. She said, okay, great. Can you connect me with the title company? I'll have a wire sent over next week. And I text back. I'm like, okay, like, do you want to fly in or anything? She said, no, I don't need to. Like, go ahead, just set it all up. Okay, cool. We close on that deal. Then all of a sudden, 2-3 weeks later, she texts me back and says, hey, do you have anything else? And then I get her another one. And then she asks for another one. Then I get her another one. And it just keeps going like this for like 3 years. She just keeps buying and buying, at least one per month. And I call her one day and I'm like, Andrea, like, I love that you're buying this many properties through me. And, I get to make some profit for doing what I normally do. But how are you doing this? Like, are you like, independently a sovereign princess or something like that? And she said, no, Nate, all that I do is I've got a whole bunch of people that they're out there in the world that I go and network with, that they have retirement accounts, they have life insurance, they have 401ks. They've got money that they don't know how to access. And I show them how to access it. And then they bring the money for the deal. And then I get paid up front for putting the deal together. And then I share some of the rents with them. I share the rental income. I'm like, really? That's what you do? I'm like, yes, it's not just me that learned this from some developer. Like, there's other people doing this. And she does it over and over again still to this day. And last time I checked tax records, she still owns this property, which is kind of cool. But yeah, that's how it works. Now, for those of you that are like thinking we're heading into a recession, the inflation still hasn't quite, gone away yet. You're right. 100% right. And if you're also thinking like, well, hey, should I pause on real estate? Should I not? I want to give you just a quick snapshot on what happens to the US dollar when money is printed, when we go through economic turbulence, things like that. And the slide you're seeing right here, this is the value of the $100 bill dating back a little bit over 100 years. And you can see when the $100 bill was first printed, it was worth a full $100. And what's happened over time is that basically the value's gone down. And that's because of the printing of money, economic climate changes, things like that. There's a whole bunch of circumstances that lead to it, but the value of the dollar has gone down. Now, there's one hedge against that that's super solid, and that's owning some kind of hard asset. Some people turn to gold or silver. Other people turn to real estate. I turn to real estate. Chris turns to real estate. A lot of the people that are in the real estate investing circle, they're going to turn to real estate primarily because it's a safe spot to park cash. But then number two, that income can come to you every single month in the form of rents. With gold and silver, I don't get rent off of it every single month. And so just as we go through this cycle, just know like the safe spot for money right now is real estate. And these investors that could potentially work with you, they know that too. And it's why they're very eager and they're hungry to look for good people like you, like me, like Chris, that want to go out there and do the physical work. A lot of people that have money, they don't want to deal with tenants. They don't want to deal with toilets. They don't want to deal with a contractor. Now, we know that there's some really easy ways to do it if you get the right people, but they don't want to do that. They just want to put their money into something and make it work for them. And so people like Andrea, she exemplified that. She knew how to do that. So like when she came to me, she could keep buying properties over and over again because she didn't focus on the contractors. She didn't focus on the property managers. She focused on the relationship with the investors. And that paid very, very well for her. Okay. I want to talk, Chris, if it's cool, about how to find these deals.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So how to find them nowadays, like everything that I'm sharing right here, like if you're going to get an investor to hand you $20,000 up front so that you can co-own a property with them, it's got to be a good deal. It has to be a really good deal. That's the reason that they're motivated to give you so much money to join the deal with you. And so I'm not talking about like going out and doing cold calling. I'm not talking about like going and buying stuff off of the MLS with a real estate broker or something like that. I'm talking about you going direct to the seller. And the way that we do that in this day and age is through social media. Okay. Now, I wasn't so much a fan of social media about 6, maybe 7 years ago. I use it very sparingly. And after I figured out how to after I cracked the code, so to speak, after I figured it out, I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. Now, if you look around at any restaurant right now, if you go and you sit down, you look at like husbands and wives sitting there, notice that during the time of their like dining together, at least some of the time, they're going to be staring at their phones, their screens. And I don't like that about society, but it's just the way that it is. And so what we have to do as smart business people is we have to go where the people are. And that's where they are right now. They're on social media platforms. And so once I got that, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to embrace it. I'm going to make this work.
Get over it.
Yeah. Deals started coming. And that's how we got this one. This is a 38 unit building. It's all because of social media, 100%. Never would have seen this thing ever without social media. This one here, this is a single family, 9149 North 94th up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This one's from a Facebook ad that I ran. Okay. Literally on this particular one, this is kind of a side note, but those of you that like are interested in getting interest rates that are way, way below the market, this one I got a 4% interest rate on. Anybody here want to know how we did that?
Sweet. In
this day and age, it's hard to do when, what'd you say your line of credit just went to, Chris?
I'm looking right at it, 7.75.
775.
Yeah, that's my little thing here. They mail it to me.
Yeah, they're trying to get me to refinance my house right now. And I'm like, why would I do that? I got this rate over here. Like, why would I want to go take that high rate?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the reason we got a 4% interest rate on this one is because number one, the seller saw us on a Facebook ad. They came to us directly. They asked us for help. I started working with them and I said, hey, can you tell me about the mortgage you have on your property right now? And then he pulled out some statements and we started talking about it. Sure enough, he had a 4% interest rate. And I'm like, hey, so what are you looking for on the property? And he told me his numbers and all that kind of stuff. And then at the end of the day, like his numbers that he needed were just too high. And so I said, hey, look, like if you're looking for cash at that amount, like this just, it wouldn't really work. And here's why. I explained all the reasons why. I said, but if you're open to me taking over that mortgage right there, then I could step in. I'll take over everything from here. If you're open to leaving that mortgage in place, then I'll do the rest of what you want. We'll close on your time frame. We'll do everything else you asked for. And he talked to his wife for a little bit. He came back and he's like, yeah, we'll do that. And so I got this property right here he wanted $7,000 cash. And so I gave him the $7,000. House is worth $198,000. I had to take over his $118,000 mortgage. When I say take over, it doesn't mean that I went to the bank. I didn't sign any paperwork at his bank. I didn't have to like have my credit score ran or anything like that. I literally just put in the contract that I would make his monthly payment for him. Okay. And so I had to pay the title company a little bit of money. And then my broker told me it was worth $198,000. So after I closed on it, I sent my father-in-law and a contractor to it. They spent about 2 weeks doing some little touch-up painting and shampooing carpets, and we listed it and we sold it the first day on market. Oh, it's pretty
Wow.
cool little deal.
Cool.
But the reason that I even share that deal is because all of this is possible when you have social media bringing people to you. You really want sellers coming to you asking for your help. If you have to go and chase people right now or chase deals, you don't want to be in bidding wars. You don't want to end up on the other side of that, because it's just not going to end in a good deal for you. Instead, you get to get sellers coming to you asking for your help. Okay. After I had co-signed that loan that I told you guys about earlier, and I had this setback, it damaged my credit, and I didn't have cash to work with. And I was still trying to make properties work. And I was still trying to go after some, like, I wanted multifamily properties too. And I started calling brokers in the state of Florida to try to get a nice property. And I had one broker tell me on the phone, when I told him my situation, he said, "Nate, that's impossible." And he literally laughed out loud. He's like, "That'll never happen. Florida's way too hot. It'll never happen for you." And I remember hanging up the phone that night thinking to myself, like, you know what? I said this only to myself in my own little head. I said, "You're wrong, and I'm going to quietly prove you wrong. You're wrong, and I'm going to quietly prove you wrong." And I kept doing my thing. I stayed stayed focused. I prayed, kept working at it. And this picture right here, this is with me and my two boys, and we got this property. This is a waterfront property in Florida. Beautiful. It's on a marina, like total blessing from God, 100%. Not only did we get it, but we got it seller financed. We got exactly what that broker told us we wouldn't get. And so I tell you that because, like, if you're trying this business right now and it's like tough, or you haven't quite found the niche to get consistent deals done over and over again, just know, like, you can do it. If your mom's telling you that you're nuts, then just quietly prove her wrong. If you got a coworker that's like, "You can't do that," stop telling your coworker about this dream, because your coworker doesn't think as big as you. Like, you got to hang with people like Chris. You got to hang with the Roundup. Then you got right people around you. They're going to cheer you on. And you were meant, like, if you spend this much time hanging on a weeknight on a real estate training, you were meant for more. You were meant to do something big, make an impact. Okay. We got some blessed children of God here, Chris, right?
I see. Yep. You know what, Nate, you talking about when people say, I love it when they say you can't do something. It almost makes me excited to do it. I think just the fact that we're here, like breaking the mold. And I know my Roundup homies are doing the same things. Like, it's not that you can't do it. Maybe they think they can't do it, but we all hear the same thing. It's a broken record for most entrepreneurs.
Yes. Yep. That's it's my fuel now.
Yeah.
I don't need coffee or caffeine. Like, someone tells me I can't, if it's something I want to do, and then they tell me that I can't, then I don't even argue with them. It's not worth it.
Go. Don't even know yet.
Right here in my head.
Not worth the time.
Right here in my head. You're wrong. I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to do it quietly. I'm not going to boast. The Bible condemns us getting all cocky and stuff like that. So I'll just do it quietly, and then that'll be my fuel.
Cool.
Cool. Is it cool if I ask the question, Chris? Like, I want to make sure people like this. Is this helpful for you? Can you guys see how this?
They got quit. Everybody's chiming in. Look at all the thumbs up and all this stuff here. What?
Awesome.
Yes, Nate, tell it, Nate.
Okay, cool. Well, then with that, is it cool if I tell you guys about the 3-day event that we're doing next week? You guys good with that? The 3-day event where I'm literally going to break all this stuff down. Like, I wish I could do it all on a quick half-hour, 45-minute training, but I've been at this now for almost 2 decades, 1,400 plus deals. Like, I want to take the best of that and break it down for you guys next week. You guys cool if I spend a little bit of time going through that?
You know what, Nate? I think, give Nate a thumbs up if y'all want for Nate to go. I think we just have to have that mindset that this stuff takes time to learn. I think not everybody, we're kind of being trained and pulled to the 1 minute, what is it called on Instagram? Those 1 minute reels or something like.
Yeah, reels. Yeah.
You can't learn to, build a real estate empire and build wealth in a 1 minute video. So I think we just have to just set the stage and the framework of what we're going to be learning, man, and what we're trying to accomplish here.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Like, and even when you learn something, like, just be a lifelong learner. Like, Chris,
There
one
you
thing I
go.
admire about you is all the great people that you have come on your channel and just share over and over. Like, yeah. Okay, cool. Well, here's what's going
Take it
down
on.
next week. Okay. We're doing a 3-day cash flow intensive. If you want to learn how to get properties like this, where you can get paid up front and you can cash flow on them forever, then this is for you. We start on Wednesday. That's Wednesday the 8th. We go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's on Zoom. So you don't have to travel. You don't have to fly or anything like that. Literally, it's going to be right on your computer from home or your office. And we start each day at 12 o'clock Eastern time, 9 o'clock Pacific time. We'll go for about 5 hours, maybe 5.5 if you got a lot of questions. Okay. Each of the sessions is recorded, so you'll get replays of everything. So if for some reason you're like, oh, I have to miss certain times, whatever, that's okay. It'll be recorded. You'll be able to access that. But try to come live as much as you can. Like, literally, you'll see, like, I'll break this down for you, but this will be the best event that you do this year for sure in your business if you're looking to get paid up front to buy real estate. Okay, if that's you, then this thing will blow your socks off.
Crazy.
Here's how it works. Day number 1, we're finding off-market deals. Literally, we're going to do a session together where we show you how to copy and paste some marketing templates that we have out onto social media that will drive you deals. Every single time we do this, there are people that walk away with deals. Happens every single event that we do. Okay, so that's day number 1. Day number 2, we got to show you how to find the people that have the money, the investors that want to invest in these deals. Now, if you're sitting there and you're like, I already have plenty of cash, I don't, need to like find investor partners, then I'd just challenge you to think bigger. What if you go after a multifamily property? Do you need partners then? And so day 2 is for finding those money partners, how to structure things with them, how to talk to them, how to enter contract with them, all that kind of stuff. And then the 3rd day is all tying it together. I'll get into a little bit of that in a bit here, but it's tying it all together, showing you how to close these things out, showing you how to assemble the boots on the ground team to make it happen, all that kind of stuff. I'm also going to give my banks, I want to give you guys a head start in this. My team's been working really hard. Like, if you're looking for the right bank, the bank that doesn't care about your credit score, they call them non-recourse lenders. The banks that don't care about your credit score, they care about the asset, and they don't care about your personal financial situation. They want to look at to make sure it's a good deal. I'm going to give you my pre-screen and vetted banks that I'm closing deals with right now, or I've closed deals with in the past. You'll get those. Okay. That's part of this. The lineup that I have, Chris, I got to get you there for one of these, man.
Yeah.
If you'd be open to it, I'd love to have you come sometime and speak at this thing.
Cool. Yeah, man. We'll put it together.
Awesome. Well, I've got some folks coming. Chris Strickland, he's done over 1,600 real estate deals, literally in more than 20 states. He's really good with the whole virtual game. Kate Whetstone, she's done over 500 real estate deals. Steve Werner, this guy went around the country and interviewed 100 millionaires and figured out the key threads in their businesses that were working the best. And he comes and shows that. So those of you that like to assemble systems, you're going to want to listen to Steve. He's really good. Real estate has a ton of moving parts to it. Anybody here, let me know in the comments, have you ever felt that overwhelmed feeling? Like, you start to see one thing in real estate, then you're like, one more thing. And it starts to like kind of get overwhelmed. That overwhelmed feeling comes across you. Mm-hmm. How would you like to have kind of a shortcut to get through that? Like something that basically I give you and you can literally just copy it and paste it. Copy it and paste it. Just do one thing. Would that be helpful for you? Because if so, then here's what we're going to do. Like, I'm literally going to give you my copy and paste templates. I say that they're worth $300. Like, it's all pie in the sky on how you value this stuff. But literally, I promise you, someone will get a deal at the event. Probably 4 or 5 people will at the event. And they'll use it. They'll do it using this template that I'm going to give. Day number 1. Okay. I'm also going to be breaking down the script. Those of you that maybe you don't feel quite confident talking with the seller yet, or knowing exactly what to say to maybe take over their 4% interest rate mortgage, I'm going to break down the 5-phase script on how to get them to say yes. And this is a process that you do with the seller. There's no strong arm negotiations. There's no like trying to like hoodwink them or trick them. Like, you're an open book. You're honest with them. They feel that, they know you're that way. And then you collaborate on coming together for the offer. I'm going to go through that with you guys at the event too. Okay. So that's what that script piece is. Okay. I mentioned the lenders, but literally, like, we're knocking down loans right now that are 2 to 3% below the big bank rates. In fact, I have a 78 unit building right now that they're offering us a refinance on right now at 4.5%.
Wow.
And it doesn't seem possible, but there are still banks that are undercutting the big banks because they're small, they're local credit unions, regional banks, things like that. So I'm going to hook you guys up with that. Okay, cool. And then for those of you that like, you're like, don't want to use banks at all. If that's you, I had a chance to buy this 38 unit building last year. I didn't have to co-sign any loans. I didn't have to show anybody my financial statements. I didn't have to do any of that stuff. We do have a loan on this property. In fact, it's a $2 million loan on this property, but I didn't have to come to the table and like qualify for any of this stuff. So at the event, I'm going to break down how we do that, how you can get into these properties without having to like put up personal financial collateral, personal guarantees, none of that stuff. Okay. If that would help you, could you guys let me know in the chat? This one's important to me because like some people are like, no, Nate, I'm just going to borrow all the money and I'm fine. Other people are like, no, like I don't want to have to deal with the banks. And so I'll spend extra time on this one if this one's important for you guys. Cool.
Well, says absolutely. Karen, yes.
Okay. Awesome. So then this event you're going to love. Okay. And then, one thing I'm still going to talk about this a little bit, Chris, if there's time tonight, but I want to at least give a little bit of an overview on the tax strategy that we're using, the reason that we like these kinds of properties. My tax bill for the last few years, like I've done really, really well. In fact, my tax bill, my CPA just sent over my returns to show me like how much I'm paying or not paying. My tax bill without this strategy, I'd probably have to pay 200 to 300,000 in taxes. With this tax strategy, my tax bill was knocked down to $4,000. And I'm doing probably the same thing that you're doing, Chris, with accelerated depreciation. And one other thing that I'll draw out for you guys if there's still time tonight, it's this repair versus replace tax credit that you can get. But if you'd like to learn more about that at the event, I break down an entire section on it. And it's not just for you, but it's also for the potential investor in your deal. You want to know this stuff because you're down with someone that has a good chunk of money and they're thinking about investing with you or in the stock market. When you can show them what I'm about to teach you, that they can get massive tax savings by investing in your deal, a lot of times they're going to pick you instead of the stock market. Okay.
It's weird you say that. You mentioned that because some money people are interested in the tax savings. And one of the things I learned from actually watching you too is just owning the property, these big properties that you have, man. I mean, it gives huge tax savings and how you can depreciate it.
You're so right. Our 78 unit building closed on in December, just closed on in December. We had a cost segregation study done. That's when you hire a tax real estate expert to go out. He came out and analyzed the property. And we have this year, next year, and the year after that, 3 years in a row, we're taking $1 million in depreciation benefits. So that means that like, if I go over here and I make a bunch of money, I can offset that money with my depreciation. I can legally not pay tax. And a lot of you here probably saw on the news, Donald Trump didn't pay taxes for X number of years. I haven't seen his tax returns, so I can't comment on that. But I have gone through Joe Biden's tax returns. I have gone through Kamala Harris's tax returns. I've gone through tons of other famous politicians' tax returns. I'm kind of a geek like that. And I'm looking for clues. Like, what are they doing? These are the people that are making the rules. Like, what are they doing? And what I've seen is that all of us should be using these tax advantages. We should be. Most of us aren't. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's get it going. Okay, for those of you that sign up with us now, you're also going to get a copy of my book. It's called Real Estate Gold Rush. The reason that I want to get this in your hands is because this will give you all of the lingo and the terms like right away tonight. You could download this thing. It's an e-copy of it. You could download it and you could start studying up before the event. Now, that's for those of you that want to study. If you just want to show up, that's totally cool. You don't have to do the extra assignment. But if you want to learn a good base of this before walking in, it'll help you even move faster at the event. You'll know more questions to ask and things like that. Okay.
Mhm.
At any time, you can go to homeinvestschool.com/Chris with a K, and that'll take you right to it. It's $47. Literally 100% of the net proceeds, they go to a nonprofit. It's called Home Invest Kids. My wife runs it. We don't take salaries or anything like that from it. 100% of the money that you help raise for that nonprofit goes to the kids. We're saving kids from a living hell right now. And we so appreciate your support on that. So Chris, thank you again for letting me even share this opportunity with your tribe, man.
Yeah, guys. So you can just go right to the video description below, and Nate is going to be offering this 3 days. I don't know how he does it. You got a whole team. I've seen how you do this, Nate. You got a team of people coming on, all your teams on there, sharing for $47 for 3 days, man. It's truly incredible the way you do that. And I've had people email me, Nate, and they've already done deals just from coming to the event. I didn't even tell you that.
Awesome.
I didn't tell you that.
It's awesome. Yeah. I'd love to know them. If they can ever tag me in social media or whatever, I'd love that. Like, I want to cheer them on. This world is so full of like negativity. You turn on the news for a little bit and it's like, there's war, there's this, there's that. And then there's this subculture, this group right here who's positive, cheering one another on, pushing forward. Like, this is where you got to hang.
You got to hang here.
Out there, like, that's for the vultures, man. They'll eat you alive. You got to stay in this world. I'm like, I love that, man.
They're looking to suck you dry, Nate, but I think you have to be intentional with your future, intentional with what goes in your eyes and in your ears. So that's what my Roundup homies are. And that's what I believe, that we're smart. They know value when they see it. And I believe they know when people are trying to jerk them, either way. I know that people can tell when something's legit, Nate, either way, whether it's going to be a news, all that mess, or taking time here to be intentional with what you're putting in your brain.
Yeah, I love that, man. Sometimes, Chris, people will ask, well, hey, Nate, like, why do you do this for $47? Is it cool if I answer that now?
Go ahead. We got a ton of questions, Nate. So Nate's going to answer that question, but get signed up with the links in the video description. It's going to be happening next week. So if you register now, you don't have to think about it. And Nate will send you the emails to get you all signed up. Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah. So reason number one, we've raised $10,000 a month now for countless months for our nonprofit. Wow. And that money is like fueling something that I feel like is my life's work. It's what I'm supposed to be doing with my time. I happen to make my money from real estate, but that $47 goes a long way when you add up a lot of people to help the kids. So that's number one. Number two, sometimes people come to this event and they're like, hey, I don't want to do the work. I just want to invest. And so I selfishly get some investors there. You might even meet some investors there too. You never know. And so that's kind of a cool thing. And then number three, my company, what we do for people like us here is we build out ads for people. We build them out, get them all honed in. If you ever want to like make the stuff go fast, then our team does that for people. And so sometimes when people come to the event, they'll be like, hey, can you just like set this whole thing up for me? And then we'll say, yeah, let's jump on a call and let's talk. And we do that. But what I always tell people is that it's better that you actually like come and really learn this business first. Get some traction with some of the organic stuff that we're teaching. Get some traction and be one of the people that gets a deal at the event. Come let it sink in a little bit. Make sure you love it. If you love it, then cool. We'll jump on the phone. We'll talk. Maybe we can do something fun together someday. But that's why we do this event. And it's been a hit for us now. And most importantly, like what we're doing with the nonprofit, it's doing something that I wish I would have started like 20 years ago.
Thanks, Nate. So let's get some Q&A roundup. Put your questions in here. Somebody wants to know that. I've been seeing Chat Bloom really going in. She's been really going in on this rental thing, Nate. Who TF wants to own rentals? I feel bad, man. I just don't want Chat Bloom to. I don't know how he or she is doing it, Nate. But what would you say to somebody that's having a, and this. I'm not going to discount this, and I don't want to downplay it
Yeah.
because yes, tenants can be a problem, Nate. Or Nate, what would you say?
Yeah, yeah, a couple of things. Number one, okay, so like I showed you guys my I got this 38 unit property right here. I got a 78 that these are a blessing from God that I get to be part of them. Chris, I'm going to set you up on this, okay?
Right,
Ask
okay.
me how many times I've been called about tenants not paying rent, toilets leaking, evictions. Ask me how many times that I've got any of those phone calls in the last year.
I'm gonna say maybe 5.
Yeah, and that'd be a reasonable guess. I actually have had none, zero,
Mm,
100% zero. And
wow.
what it all boils down to is, and I used to be the hands-on person thinking that I had to do everything. I've been to the court administrator's office to file evictions, and I hated it. Absolutely hated it. And
Yeah,
now what I've learned in this business is that there are professionals out there. You got to find the right ones, but there are
yeah,
professionals
true.
out there that they will do a better job than you. They'll be more efficient than you, and you do need to pay them. Got to pay them well. But if you do that, this business gets really fun really fast.
Yeah.
And like here's another one. Like I used to manage all my own renovations. I thought I was smarter
Yeah.
than everybody. I grew up like my dad was a mechanic, so we did everything. Like literally, I remember one Christmas when the furnace went out, and here my dad and I are. I'm a 6-year-old holding a flashlight, and my dad's in there working on the furnace, and he lights something on
Oh
fire, and
my
it goes
lord.
boof. He almost blew up the house. From 6 years old, like I learned from my dad, we do everything. You don't, give this stuff away to anybody. You do everything.
Me too. Me too.
Well, that was a bad thing to learn. Okay. Now what I've learned is that there are really good property managers. They will manage the rehabs for you.
Better than you. I'm telling you, Nate. Nate, they're better than me. They're
Yeah.
better than you.
Yeah. So just get the right. Here's the other
Get
thing
the
about
right
that
people.
property manager. They have relationships with the contractors. They have contractors that are doing turnovers for them. They can get it set up where that they don't have to pay the contractor $1 until they finish the work. And the contractor will trust them because they do business together. If you and I call the contractor out of the blue and say, hey, will you just go do the work and then invoice me later? The contractors will be like, no, 50% down right
They're
now.
gonna laugh at you. Shit, I ain't gonna say that.
Yes. So chat, I feel sorry for whatever thing happened, and I get it. And I bet you that half the landlords that have been on here probably can feel your pain too. Just like, don't let that be the thing that
Yeah,
stops
turns you
you.
off.
Yeah, don't let that be the thing that holds you back. Like, just get the right people to cover that gap. When that hedge fund manager called me, like, this guy doesn't know how to hang kitchen cabinets. This guy's ultra uber wealthy. He found me to handle all that stuff.
There
Now
you
I've
go.
found property managers to handle all that stuff. And I just
It's
make sure I get a
important.
good one. And if I sense that they're not the right one, I'm very, very fast to interview new ones, and I will find the
Nate,
right one.
how did you get that skill? Well, I just be watching you on the low. When I hire somebody now, I just feel like it's a skill that I wasn't born with. I mean, how did you? Is this something that is innately in you, or did you learn it, take courses and stuff on? I mean, you got so many people working with you.
No, so hard way in the beginning, and then you and I have some mutual friends, mutual mentors like Ron, and I've been through. This is now almost 2 decades. I bet you I've been in part of at least 15 different masterminds.
Gotcha.
And you just ask
Networking.
people, they've been around, hey, how do you do it? You got 300 units. I have lunch about once a quarter with a man that owns 3,000 buildings. And so
Wow.
like when I go to that lunch, I show up with a notebook of pre-written questions.
Hmm.
And like, I'm just going to ask everything. Like one secret he taught me last time I was with him is whenever he buys a new building, he has had this husband and wife couple. They're retired, military retired. He actually pays to move them from building to building, and they're the turnaround team. He lets them live for free, and he pays them a small salary. And their job is, whenever he buys a new building, is that they got to get it stabilized. They got to get the bad tenants out. They got to get the good tenants in. And this guy never has to hire a property manager, never has to deal with the headaches because he's got this husband and wife couple that are his stabilization team. And then once it's stabilized, then he'll install a local property manager and he'll move them to the next building that he just bought.
That's
Like,
genius, man.
wow.
Wow. It's like almost like getting your family to go do the deal. I mean, they
Yeah.
know exactly how he communicates.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Benny wants to know, I'm trying to transition to real estate right now from his landscape company. Good for you. You probably have seen enough houses doing landscaping and flips cars. Cool. Okay. Want to learn the real estate game? Well, this is going to be an event, Nate. A good event for you to learn the ins and outs of real estate through Nate.
Yeah, Benny, you're already in the flipping cars game. My dad does that, not with cars, with four-wheelers and snowmobiles, because that's what he worked on all of his life. So he knows how to fix them. And so it'll be fun to watch you transition into properties. The only difference really is that they're bigger numbers. And I feel that selling properties is actually easier than what my dad does with four-wheelers and snowmobiles. My dad has to fix them all. With real estate, you don't necessarily have to fix it. If you find a good enough deal, there's plenty of people like Chris, like myself, like other investors that just say, you know what, I'll gladly pay you an assignment fee if you'll just give me that deal.
There you
And
go.
you can flip it even faster and make bigger spreads.
Yep. Melissa, off-market deal hunter, wants to do deals in Emporia, Virginia, Fort Myers, Sanderville City. Cool.
Well, Melissa, I'm in Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Fort Myers, and
okay.
we just got blasted with a hurricane 4 or 5 months ago, and there are properties galore here, galore. Like there's blue tarps on a lot of roofs still. They're estimating that it's going to take at least 2 years for the current contractors to get caught up with all of the work that needs to happen. And so there's a lot of opportunity in Fort Myers. So happy to show you that landscape.
Let's see here. Get your questions in, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and Nate. Chat blown. Zach wants to know, why can't you get squatters out with a trespassing charge? How do you go? Oh, I think they're all talking about Chat's problem with that. I see Chat's having an issue with that daggone tenant, man. Y'all give us some recommendations. Whatever you recommend for Chat Bloom there.
I know of an unconventional way.
Go ahead, Nate. You got the floor, brother.
So like if you don't want to do like the whole eviction process, there's this thing that in the industry we call it cash for keys. Some people show up and they show up with like, really big buff dudes and they say get out or else. I don't condone that way, but I know some people that do it. What I have done before, I had a property. This is Minnesota property. The people wouldn't leave. They were squatting. They shouldn't have been there. And I gave one of my guys, this guy that worked for me named Shannon, I gave him some cash, gave him $2,000. And I said, hey, you can go up to 2,000, but the lesser, the better. Whatever you bring back to me, I'll split with you. And he's like, okay. He goes and knocks on the door and he just said, hey, you guys got to get out. Otherwise there's going to be an eviction filed and it's going to be on your record forever. Or I can give you this cash the moment that you're packed up and moved out. And he got him to settle for $1,200 cash. And so they packed up, they moved. A couple days later, he showed up, cash in hand, gave him the cash. He took the keys, changed the locks, and we avoided having to do any kind of eviction or anything like that.
Cash for keys. I call it the deal with the devil. Just do the deal, man. They'll always take it from me. I never had a problem.
Yeah. Why wouldn't they? I mean,
they ain't paying already.
Mm-hmm.
Rhonda, I think she was asking about that. Is this the same for multifamily properties at 100 plus doors? I think she was talking about that home inspection thing, Nate. That's back when you were, if I look at the timestamp, it's
cool.
725.
Cool. So Rhonda, yeah, inspectors, just before you hire the inspector, just ask them, hey, do you have insurance? Do you specifically have errors and emissions insurance? Just make sure that they do. 100 unit or more, they're going to charge more for that inspection. A single family home inspection, they go between 500 and 600-ish right now. My multifamily property inspections, I'm usually paying $1,000 to $2,000. Sometimes on bigger ones, even up to $3,000. So it's going to cost more, but I still hire an inspector every single time. I don't skip that step. Even if I feel like I know the whole property and all that kind of stuff, like I'm going to hire the inspector.
Benny wants to know, is there a statute or limitation on that insurance thing?
I would guess there is. I don't know. Most states statutes are 7 years for contractual things like that. I don't know. That's kind of a legal question, but I would guess that there's probably 7 years.
Nate getting out of the real estate and getting into the insurance
Yeah.
stuff.
Nobody,
I have no idea.
nobody hold me to that. I'm not an insurance agent. I'm not a lawyer.
I'm not qualified to answer this. Round up, get signed up. The links for Nate's 3-day cash flow intensive is $47. Not even a tank of gas. If you can hang out with Nate and his team for 3 full days next week, get joined up now. Don't think about it. If you think about it, you won't do it, man. So you can join, and you get the recordings too. So Nate, thanks for putting that together for us.
And I'm gonna throw on a bonus here too. Okay. Bonus is this. At the end of day one, I'm gonna do a live implementation. So like literally, it's private access. It's only for people that are signing up right now. So if that's you, if you're like, gosh, should I do this? Should I not? We're gonna go through that copy and paste template that I told you about, and we're gonna do it together. We're gonna help whatever market you want to pick out. You chat with me. We're on Zoom. It's going to be in a small group setting so that we can actually take your questions, and we're going to help you get it implemented. Because what I want to happen is I want that night, on night number one, you get deals. You got sellers coming into you, because then on day number two, I can call on you. I can look at your deals. We can get some progress while we're working together. So day number one, we're doing an implementation session. Okay. And then on day number two, at the end of the day, we're going to do live Q&A. And meaning like you'll be able to jam with us and ask questions throughout all the sessions. But I want to make sure there's a separate section for our VIPs that are coming in right now. You get a VIP ticket when you come in right now, where we can actually go through any questions on your mind. So if you like have to miss part of it and you just want to go straight to the finish line and get your questions answered, that's what we'll do together. We'll be on a live Q&A. We'll get all your questions answered. So that's homeinvestschool.com/Chris with a K. homeinvestschool.com/Chris.
Yep,
That'll get you straight in.
Yeah, cool. Let's see what we got here. Oh man, I got a love offering here. Chill with Jay. I appreciate you, Chris. Keep dropping gems. I thank Nate for this one, man. But thank you so much for your love offering, my friend. Thank you. It allows me to keep bringing people on like Nate. Take time out of our day to do this for you guys, man. I want to see you succeed. Nate, there was a question here about. Oh, shoot. Every time I hit it, it jumps all the way down. Oh, look at this. Daring Daniel has money, and she's got time to work. If anyone wants to partner up and do deals in Portland, Oregon, look at that. Networking on the channel.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
That's why these real estate events, like your channel, Chris, is awesome. And then like the 3-day event next week, it's bringing good real estate investors together.
That's the goal. Coming together. The money's in the networking. Mindset. Wow, look at all this. Seller financing. Nate, did you do seller financing on one of those houses? I think Rhonda is asking about that. I don't know which one it was, man. Golly.
Yeah, exactly. We did seller financing on the house that we got with a 4% interest rate.
There you go.
Did seller financing on that one. And there's a lot of different ways to structure seller financing. Sometimes people will just kind of blanket it and say, oh, it's, seller financing or subject to. Some states subject to works. Some states it's frowned upon, depending on how local prosecutors look at it. And so what I always encourage people to do is really just understand the state laws. And then number two, really understand how seller financing can and should be structured. It all comes back to the St. Germain Act of 1982. What that was, it's a law that passed and went through Congress, Senate, got approval from president, signed into law. It was basically when the interest rates started going up really, really aggressively, some people, sellers, started selling their property to a buyer without making them go and get a new bank loan. They would just sell it, person to person. And banks got really jealous. They're like, hey, what the heck? We're not getting any fees out of this. So then they lobbied Congress to pass the law, the St. Germain Act. And if you understand that law, then what happens is you understand how to structure these deals with sellers. You understand there's some carve-outs. You understand that you can do things with trusts that then don't get the due on sale clause called. And I know that this probably sounds a little bit like techno mumbo jumbo, but I actually spend an entire section at the 3-day event breaking down how and why seller financing works. And you'll be able to pick up those nuggets and apply them when you're talking with sellers.
They're just framed up a little differently, y'all. It's no big deal. It's all about the way you frame it up in real estate. You got to frame it up. You cannot go in these houses talking about, well, we're going to buy your house subject to. I promise you. Just, Nate, how's that going to end up for him?
Yeah, probably like me, my first half a dozen times I tried that and got no deals. It's now it's just a human. Now I've learned, like, whenever I explain seller financing to someone, I got to pretend I'm talking to I got a 3-year-old boy. He's learning how to talk. And I got to talk like that. I got to say, hey, here's what we're going to do here. Mr. Seller, would you be cool if I gave you some cash right now then you get paid first, and then the rest of it, I'll just pay the bank on their normal scheduled payments. Would you be cool with that? And then when you make it that simple, then it opens the door. They're going to have more questions. They might say, well, what would that look like? How long would that last? And then, but you got to say that first to even get the plane close to landing.
Mm-hmm.
You go in flying high, like, yeah, we're going to do subject to. They're going to be like, yeah, I don't know what that is. Get out of here. Because they just don't understand and they're afraid of it. If people don't understand it, they're afraid of it. And that's the other thing too, is like sellers, this is the biggest asset that they've had. They've lived in this place for 12 years. They raised their kids here. They've been paying on that mortgage for 12 years. Like, this is a really big deal. Some people take that too lightly. They're just like, oh, I'm going to give you a lowball cash offer and I'm out. No. Like, you got to respect where the seller's at. You have to really understand that. And they know that. They feel that. If you come in and you actually level with them and you're human with them, transparent with them, they feel that. And then if we can get you at that level, that's when deals start coming in consistently. That's when we make a lot of stuff happen.
WR states the link. Sorry, y'all. I just fixed it. Just refresh your screen if the link was bad in the video description. I had a slight issue with the thing there, but it's good to go. Sorry about that. Fox the Dreamer, just refresh your, just come out and come back in and it'll be good right there. So the link's in the video description. It is in the video description. Sorry about that. Yeah, I messed that all up.
It's good. Yep, we're working.
Yeah, we're good. If you can't see it, just go to Home Invest School /Chris, and it's good to go there too. So, well, either way, type in. I put it in the chat as well as in the video description, y'all. Yeah, just copy and paste it, or you could just click it right there. I messed that all up. No more rentals, Robert. Okay, no more rentals. All right.
Yeah, and Robert, so what you could do is you could just focus on day one, we're going to show you how to land off-market deals, and then you could wholesale them to all the landlords that are there. You will be a very loved man if you...
Deal finder.
Yeah, you'd be a deal finder.
You can find deals and not even do real estate, really. You can just find deals for the other investors.
It's even easier than doing the renovation and trying to flip it yourself.
Way easier.
Just giving away paper, making money.
Karen wants to know, Nate, does this system work in any market?
Karen, which market are you in?
Karen, let us know where you're at so we can see that.
Works everywhere except for your city. I'm just kidding. You know, it's interesting, Karen. We have clients now in 49 different states. 49. I've done work before in Hawaii a long time ago, but we don't have any current clients there. So in the other 49 states, though, yes, we've got this thing to work. It's mixing two things. It's mixing real estate, which works in all 50 states, and it's mixing in social media. And social media is very prevalent in all 50 states. So
you can't lose.
Yeah, we're going where people are. They are on their phones right now.
That's can't lose with social media. That's what we're on right now. You just can't lose. Okay, you're correct. Thank you, Rhonda. Harold and multifamily. Is this a question? In multifamily, you got a PML to join with you as an equity partnership, right? How do you split 50-50? Go ahead.
Great question, Harold. So PML.
Explain the PML, Nate. So just so we know, make sure everybody may not know what's going on here.
Yeah. So what we're talking about here, we got a property. Talking about a big building here. Okay. The question is Do we get a PML, which stands for private money lender, to come in on the deal? And then do we just basically split with them? Sort of is the answer, but I want to, if it's okay with you, I'll just give you like the best structure now. And the best structure is that I don't talk to the PMLs at all. The PMLs, they're used to making a fixed interest rate and they want a payment every single month, no matter what. And like, that's just the way that they do business. That's usually how it's framed up. Now, if they're like truly a private investor, then you might be able to show them another path. Okay. Like, but if they're like a professional lending institution, I would not have that conversation. What I'm looking for instead is someone that can be an equity partner. And I want them to be an accredited investor. Accredited, sorry, my handwriting is not nice, but it'll work. Okay. Accredited investor. What that means is that they've got a net worth of $1 million or more, without their primary residence included, or their household makes at least $300,000 per year, married couples, et cetera. And believe it or not, that's a large chunk of people, lots in the United States of America, tons. All of the deals that are true deals that I've been able to bring forward, I get tons of accredited investors that come to apply to join our deals. There's just a lot of people with a lot of cash out there.
Yeah.
To put this even more in perspective, there's currently $17 billion right now in negative yielding bonds.
Oh boy.
What that means is that they're putting their money into a bond that pays a negative yield. So they're just trying to like hide their money. They don't want to like, lose it or whatever. So they're willing to lose a little bit each year just to park their money somewhere.
Is that something new since this interest rate thing, Nate, or was that happening during the in 2021, 22 also?
It's gotten much worse during this interest rate hike.
Yeah, I figured that.
It's been going up. And so when you understand this, like it just clearly makes it the case for you, like, okay, cool. There's plenty of money out there. There's plenty of money. And
they printed enough.
You just got to have a good deal right here. Okay. So I want to structure this with accredited investors as an equity partner. And if it's a small deal, like I showed you guys earlier, that little 4-unit building that I bought, that one was a 50-50 deal. And that's like what I feel is okay for me to like get my time involved, 50-50. On bigger deals, like the 78-unit building that I just mentioned, 78-unit building, I have a 70-30 split. Investors get 70, I get 30. The reason for this is because my piece of the pie right here, even at 30%, my piece of the pie is so big because of the size of the building. This is an $8 million building. My piece of the pie at 30% is still bigger than any single family house or any fourplex that I would do. Wow. So like, I don't need 50% of this building. I only need a little chunk of it. And so from a value proposition, when I'm talking with the investors on this big building and I tell them, hey, you're going to get 70% of the pie, they're like, sign me up. Let's go. As long as I can prove to them that it's a good deal. Mm-hmm. And that's where it all starts. You got to be able to prove that it's a good deal.
Listen, guys, this is not a strategy that I normally teach on my channel. This is going to be something, this is a new skill you got to learn. This equity hold thing where you got people coming in, deals, being a part of the deal, right? This is a skill you got to learn. If you want to do this stuff like Nate's one of the major players in this thing. So get signed up. The link's in the video description right below. It's only going to take you a few seconds. And somebody wants to know, is it really $47? Am I saying that right?
Yeah. That's why I have to explain that. Like, I know that we could charge literally someone came last month and they said at the end of it, they're like, I paid $10,000 for something that I got way less than I got from you guys. Like I got way more value from you guys in 3 days than I did on a $10,000 thing. And I know that we could charge a lot more than that, but the motivation is not to make a bunch of money off of this. I want people to be aware of our charity, our nonprofit, Home Invest Kids. If you want to know more about it, you can go to homeinvestkids.com. My wife and my son are the two main people that run it. We're doing some amazing things helping kids right now. But we've been fueling that thing by the rate of $10,000 per month from all of the people signing up for this $47 thing. And so I'm like when I'm doing my prayer time in the morning and I'm like, what's the most important thing that I can do this month? Yes, I want to close my deals. Yes, I want to make money. But if I can volunteer 3 half days of my time to raise $10,000 for those kids, I'll do that all day long. Like, done. Okay. Second reason that we do it, because people ask us, well, hey, why else do you do this? Do you get paid on this somehow? Yes, we do. Sometimes investors show up and they're like, hey, I love this stuff, but I don't want to do any of the work. How do I invest? And so we get investors. You might even meet one there. And then the third reason we do it is because we're pretty well known in the industry for building out people's Facebook ads. We build them out to help them generate investor leads and help them build out Facebook ads to generate seller leads. And so sometimes people will come to the 3-day event and they'll say, hey, I love this stuff, but I just want to like pay someone to set it all up for me. Will you guys just set this whole thing up and get me rocking? And sometimes if that's the case, then we'll say, oh, cool, jump on a phone call. Let's see if we can help you. And so there's a lot of other ancillary benefits that come to me. That's why we do it for $47. I know it seems too good to be true, but that's it. You got full open book on me right there.
I have a question, and we got to get out of here. Got to get my daughter. WR Estates has signed up.
Yeah.
They want to know where to get the book.
Yeah. So as soon as you sign up, if we could maybe put that the slide back up for a second, Chris.
Okay.
As soon as you sign up, there's an email that comes to you. Sometimes spam filters catch it. The spam filters nowadays are so aggressive. But if you lost that for some reason, if it went to spam, then just go to members.prosperwithnate.com. members.prosperwithnate.com. Or if you forget that, just reply to my team on whatever receipt you got, reply to us, and my team will reply to you with the link. But you go into that link, you get logged in. If you have to reset the password, just press password reset. There's a whole bunch of goodies in here that I didn't even get time to tell you guys about. There's some amazing stuff in here, but inside of here is the book. You click on the book, it'll let you download a copy of it right here, and you'll be able to get started literally tonight if you want to start tonight.
Cool. Nate, thank you. Round up homies, $47, less than a tank of gas. homeinvestschool.com/Chris. It's going to be 3 days with this guy and his whole team showing you how to do this stuff, raising money. I guess, would this be called joint ventures or partnership type of stuff, Nate? I mean, under the...
Yeah, a lot of people will call it either joint venture partnerships or syndications.
Syndications, yep. So this is a new skill, y'all. I'm telling y'all, this is a skill. This is the skill set that Nate has learned over time, raising this money. And you can do it too, man. I've seen people do this stuff. It's completely different from just private lenders. Like we set them up in a certain way. Nate has an equity way of putting them in position. Both of them work. Just different ways of doing it. And thank you, Nate, for sharing that with my Roundup family here. Thank you.
My pleasure, man.
So get signed up now, and that's it, Nate. So listen, guys, I'll see you Wednesday too. I'll come hang out with you for a little while. And anything you want to leave with, Nate, before we get out of here?
Yeah. Last thing is that the it's doing some interesting shakes right now. I know that if you're on an East Coast market or maybe Midwest, you might not feel it yet. But if you look at the stats in Maricopa County in Arizona, if you look at Las Vegas, Nevada, you look at San Francisco, they've already seen a 7% drop quarter to quarter, which if you translate that over a year, that could be a 25+% drop. Anyways, it's getting interesting. And that means that some sellers now are loosening up. And this market, I believe, for the next 12, maybe 36 months, it all depends on how things shake out. But I believe that during this window, we're going to see some of the best buys that we possibly can get in our lifetime.
I know.
Usually happens when the market shakes up like this.
I know it. I don't want to say I love it, but it just always gets interesting when I see everybody running from real estate. I remember 08, 09. I'm like, I know that the best investors run two problems. You know, I had to psych myself. I'm like, Chris, it's just the truth. Or is it, Nate? I want you to say it, man. I don't want them to hear from me.
No, like Warren Buffett says it even better.
That's what
he says. When other people are greedy, you need to be fearful. And when other people are fearful, you should be greedy. And so that's what Chris is saying. Like if people are running, if everyone's saying, oh my goodness, interest rates are up, values are dropping, that's the time when you should lean in and say, holy cow, what are they running from? I need to go check that out. And of course, be cautious, hang out with good people, hang out in the Roundup community, like get yourself smart, but lean in. I will go faster. I got to go through 2007, 2008, 2009, like best buys of my life were 2008 through 2010. Best ones ever. I bought this property on Pine Island, Bokeelia for $60,000. Today, the value is around $500,000.
Wow.
bought it for 10 years, like 12 years, whatever it is, 12, 13 years. Stuff isn't supposed to double in value in 10 years. It's not supposed to, but it does when you get the right buys.
Mm-hmm.
So just pay attention to what's going on. And like, if you're thinking about getting into real estate, like take the opportunity now. It doesn't have to be like coming to this event, but like you should come to the event anyway, but like get in the game, get in the game.
Share this information with anybody that you love and you want to see them win in real estate investing, and hit that like button. And we'll see you on the next video roundup, homies. Take care, guys. Peace.
Bye, guys.